Can you pitch a hardball? I can't. But the perfect game, a current exhibit at New York City's American Folk Art Museum, is a fascinating display of objects relating to America's favorite pastime, the game of baseball. Whether the design of useful everyday objects like fireplace andirons or in the creation of ephemeral art like designs rolled into the diamond's lush grass, folk artists have approached the subject of baseball with intense passion, conviction, and creativity.
All of the objects that you see in the exhibition have some artistic merit, as opposed to the collectibles that you'd see at Cooperstown or an exhibition of baseball memorabilia. We really go for the objects that were individually made, the objects that were created by artists with no academic training, people who were taught through traditions that were handed down, or were just inspired through their own experience to express their feelings about baseball in all different media.
Elizabeth Warren, the exhibit's curator, is passionate about baseball.
Putting together this exhibition has been an immense amount of fun for me. And what I enjoyed most about researching this exhibition was that I got a chance to research American history through baseball.
The Civil War played an important role in the history of baseball, since it could be played whenever the soldiers had free time. After the war, the returning soldiers helped spread the game throughout the country. Many of the cultural icons enshrined in folk art, such as Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente, and Hank Greenberg, helped pave the way for minorities to enter the major leagues.
Probably the player who's most represented in the exhibition has been Jackie Robinson. He's been represented in all different media, in paintings, enamel on tin, watercolor, quilts, but his reputation goes far beyond baseball. And what he accomplished both on and off the field has really resonated through the years with artists who look to him as a symbol of the civil rights movement.
During World War II, many minor league teams were forced to close down when players enlisted in the armed services. It was then that women's baseball became popular, with the formation of an all-girls baseball league. In many smaller cities in the Midwest, the so-called Girls League took hold.
These little figures that we see here were made by Elijah Pierce, who was a barber in Columbus, Ohio, known particularly for his religious figures. But he was also a baseball fan, and he made this team, these figures, to amuse the children who would come into his barbershop.
Ray Matterson's tiny embroideries were begun as a way to pass time while he served a prison sentence for armed robbery. He used unraveled thread from socks for the pictures and shoelace thread for the borders.
He would trade with other prisoners so that he could get the right color threads. He credits embroidery, which he learned from his grandmother, with getting him sober and keeping him clean.
Since his release from prison, Matterson is still making art and is now working as a youth counselor in New York State. Clara Schmidt-Rothmeyer played first base for a traveling softball team. Her quilted tribute to her favorite baseball stars began as a way to keep herself busy while she was on the road.
She would take baseball trading cards, translate the images into embroidery and applique, and she would send them off to all her favorite baseball players, ask them to autograph them, and send them back to her. She got almost everybody to sign them, send them back. She embroidered over their names and then put together this quilt with all these pictures. We've had a number of players come through, Yogi Berra, Jim Bouton, and they've been able to find their names on the quilt and remember when she asked them to do that.
Baseball themes find their way into many objects of everyday use, such as this children's sled, which features an image of Mike King Kelly.
Kelly was known as the inventor of the hook slide. Whenever he'd get on base, the crowd would start singing "Slide, Kelly, Slide." It was a popular song of the day. I think it was only natural that some enterprising manufacturer would put Mike King Kelly on a children's sled so they could go sliding down a hill in the winter.
One of the discoveries of this exhibition was George Skosnak, a minor league umpire who created these incredible, densely painted baseballs.
Every inch of them are covered with scenes of famous events in baseball, complete statistics from games, complete listings of teams, amazing amount of information on a baseball. We saw one of these in a collector's home. We've discovered he did about 800 of these balls. Every important player from the 1960s through 1992, when he died, has been recorded.
David Miller is an artist with an unusual medium, grass. The director of grounds for Boston's Fenway Park has been called the Cezanne of a new art form.
He's developed a technique for rolling designs into the infield and outfield grass. I've gotten to the point where I can't look at a baseball game on television anymore without first looking to see what's the design in the diamond.
The designs are not mowed, but rolled. Rollers bend the blades of grass so that they change tone when the sunlight reflects off them. The designs can be seen only from above and are not distracting to the players. The exhibition also features many other unusual artworks and artifacts, including arcade games, board games, household items, and even a piece from the frieze of the original Yankee Stadium.
We think that they've reached a level of artistic beauty that lifts them beyond just the everyday object.
As the great Yogi Berra once said, you can see a lot just by observing. And I think any baseball fan would be fascinated by this look at the history of their beloved sport through the eyes of folk artists. The exhibit will continue at the American Folk Art Museum in New York City through January 2004. You have to see it.
Coming up later.